mixed review out here. There's some, what do they call it? Gifted schools or private schools. Then they have the public schools.
Well, I'm talking
Probably
about,
not the best on the public school side, but the charter schools are supposedly much better. There's quite a few of those around here.
I'm talking about the community college and vocational training.
They have vocational training here, and I don't know if Adam can share something on that. So maybe Adam can shed some light on the vocational training. There are vocational schools out here. There's C&M, there's New Mexico State U. So what are you looking for? It really, I mean, that's a pretty broad question, Gwen. I mean, it's hard to answer that question because there's different schools out here. So if you're looking for something specific, as far as vocational school, I mean, I see medical schools and medical training schools and medical assistant, that kind of stuff. So does that help?
Okay. So what's the positive or compared to other states doing business
there's
in
pros
New
and
Mexico?
cons like anything else. They don't call the state the land of mañana for no apparent reason. Let me just say that with respect. I mean, having been a consultant out here for the last 5-7 years after I moved from Chicago to here, it's a very different, what do you call it? Way to do business. It's very much a campesino mentality out here in New Mexico. Let me start with that. And then, you know, you've got the, when you say, oh, this is the deadline. Oh, you'll need it tomorrow. Oh, okay, sure, you'll get it tomorrow. Tomorrow doesn't really mean tomorrow. It could be 2 days from now. It could be 3 days from now. So you have to kind of navigate that a little bit. So that's just right. And when I came out here, I was a very, I was a senior executive project manager with tons and tons of experience. So a lot of companies, quite frankly, were very intimidated by me because I came from Chicago. And people were telling me that, Annie, you need to tone it down. You need to tone down your business savviness. I said, I'm sorry, I can't help it. This is the way I'm wired. What do you want me to tell you? You know, take it or leave it. That was my attitude. But so I ended up starting my own. After 5 years, I'm doing this entrepreneurship and I'm getting 1.5 million in 1 year that I did this company. You know, I'll carve my own path. That's just the way I am. I'm very driven. So it really is an individual thing. And then you just have to navigate the business environment out here. So it's a lot more politically inclined. So I'm having to navigate that. And I'll be honest with you, when it comes to politics, it's absolutely not my strength, but I have to do it. So I'll do it.
Right. We're gonna move forward. Adam's Friday Flow Entrepreneurs is live on YouTube. It's been for a little bit here now. Attendees may use social media, etc., chat and all that good stuff. The usual norm is that we engage the challenges, we attend to the whim, and we connect our business topics with what we're talking about. It's a good practice time. And I'm just using all this stuff kind of as a general guidance so I don't get off topic too much. And maybe someday I'll even make it more smooth than it is already, but it's not a huge thing on my list. My big thing is interacting with people in person. So this is just sort of a mechanism to make it happen, even if it's a little clumsy. So attendee greetings, this is how we're gonna do after I do the intro. Or post on chat for order of who's gonna introduce first and so on. And then open discussion loosely on the topic. And then we're gonna ask some 10-second quest help at the end. So at the end, you'll want something that we could help you with that will only take us 10 seconds to help you with on whatever your big quest is, the big thing you're trying to figure out in the world and possibly likely with your business. Welcome to Adam's Friday Flow. Today we're going to be finding out should you find or choose your way. And here's a few of the responses that I got, and I think that I added them on a weird spot. So there, for some reason, there's this new setting that's like whether you're normal, outline, or notes, and I entered it on this notes page. What I just found out while you guys were chatting a moment ago is that if I'm on this notes tab up here, I add certain things on the page, but they don't show up when I'm then in the normal. So it's not there, but it's here. So I find that pretty bizarre.
You sure those were the only
Anyway,
feedback you got,
so
Adam?
when I checked about an hour ago, this is all I had. You put some more on there?
Yes.
I could throw some more on there, but I caught the early birds.
Yeah, you caught the early bird. So check again. You may have a couple more.
Well, all right. Well, I will do that. I'll kind of go off on another screen here and I'll refresh this page. Oh, it didn't give me anything new. I'll go back this way. Okay. So on here, I go to manage attendees. I post this. Oh, look at that. Okay. Well, we also have a couple other people that signed up to possibly show up. So we'll see how that goes. All right. So an anonymous person also added this. We have no idea who did that. So
Three. Ding, 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 ding.
so I'm gonna go back to its normal view no, actually I gotta keep it here because otherwise I won't have it. So these are some responses people had for whether you should choose your way or find your way. And it says, someone said depends on the life situation. Another one said both. Another one says choosing the appropriate way. Look at that. So so go ahead and enter your information onto the chat there. It'll let me know which order we're going to go in here. So if I click on my stuff here, copy this, and then I'm going to go to the chat. Oh, someone already beat me to it. So someone's going to go ahead of me. And I'm going to put mine on there. Boom. So once your information is posted on there, then I'll call on you to do your part and introduce yourself and your business or what you're up to. And if you also have a website, you want to put this HTTW stuff on there, because if you don't, I won't be able to click on it and I will give you a hard time, because I want you to be better at your social media interactions. So there we are, Core Community Housing. Oh, I caught you while you were just finishing a bite.
Yeah.
Okay, it's your turn.
My turn. Oh, okay.
Because you posted before I did. Yeah.
Founder and CEO of Core Community Housing, eco-conscious, sustainable real estate community development. And our slogan is building today for a better future. So I'm in a real estate space in general, but my focus is more on eco-conscious.
I didn't put on the new share. I'll pull up your.
Yeah, pull up the website. I usually do that, but.
That's why I was like, well, yeah, of course it's right here, but you couldn't see it. Only I saw it. That's what happened. Okay.
Okay, we're a little bit. We need a cup of coffee this morning, Adam.
No, I've made it complicated, so it's okay though. I'm happy.
Right. So this is the rendering of the community that we have planned for Valencia County. So that's what we're doing, is a brand new development on a 30-acre land in Los Lunas. So my focus is to stay under 50 acres, up to 50 acres only, nothing bigger. So kind of narrowing it down, because Mesa del Sol's already doing 12,000 acres. I'm not going to even try to, go that route. That's too much. So I think I want to keep it fairly small. So that's who I am. I'm in the real estate space.
Annie, I'm gonna interrupt you just for a moment to let you know that I'll be back in a little bit. I have my wife and oldest are at dentists, and so that means the little ones, the babysitter didn't come through, and I'm gonna take care of something real quick. So you go ahead and explain all this stuff. And you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna do security here, and I'm gonna change so you can share screen if you want. And you guys can chat that up. I'll be back in about 5 or 10 minutes.
Okay, just come back. We'll wait. We'll chat, Gwen and I.
This interruption brought to you by your friendly family.
Literally, yes. It's okay. Get it. So, okay, Gwen, we could chat while we're waiting for 5 minutes. We have at least 5 minutes to chit chat.
Can-
So,
Can you, I'm looking at your website about sustainable community. So let's see.
so mixed use, we were approved for mixed use plan development in Valencia County, New Mexico, which is just south of the airport. So if to give you a perspective of where this location's at. And this 30 acres is owned by one of my business partners. And he offered this property. I mean, at some point he will get paid, but for right now, because we're still in the early stages of the development, we're still really doing the planning and proof of concept. Because part of this will be research and integrating all the technology and engineering, architecture and design of the community. There's a lot of technology that's going to go into this. So it's technology and real estate development in a very different way.
Who are the
It's not-
customers who are buying? I assume this is a home ownership as well.
Home mixed
long-term-
use. I don't know if you understand anything in real estate. Mixed use means this community will have live, work, and play in this entire community. So you can live and work here, right? Either you're a small entrepreneur, small business owner. It's home ownership as well as what we're gonna do to this community is do a community and housing as a service. So that's, we're gonna develop it into that. And we're creating this model to come up with a replicable, repeatable model nationwide and globally. We intend to take this globally. But we're starting it here because the Los Alamos National Lab and Sandia National Lab will help us with some of the engineering and testing and the innovation on the engineering side. I
Oh,
was a former engineer and computer science major. So there's a lot of technology that's going to go into this. That's eco-conscious, renewable energy, alternative battery storage, composting, waste, what do you call it? Waste management. We actually have a thermal energy conversion system that will take all waste and convert it into energy. So we will be solving the landfill problems that we are experiencing right now in a lot of locations. So at some point, we're going to get rid of the landfills and take every single waste that we have and convert them to something else, either energy or something else that's usable. So we're going to take gray water and convert those to either for the farming, because in this community, we will have housing, vertical farming, clinics, and data centers, 4 segments.
And the long-term customers that are homeowners, are they micro, small businesses that are from maybe from the Los Alamos industry? I mean,
Well, from the local area, right? So
Yeah.
wherever we build communities like this, and the model of, I don't know if you're familiar with software as a service or, technology as a service,
Mm.
except we're taking that one level higher, community and housing as a service. So when we develop all these different locations, people can move around and they can move from one community to another community as they need to. That's the intent. So they're paying for the service and the mobility model as a business owner and as a homeowner. And they can also scale the homes from 200 square feet to 2,000 square feet. Because I'm already speaking to a modular home builder who is out of Torrance, California, who is very much in line with what we're trying to do, eco-conscious build out. And they're unit by unit, they're very efficient homes, and you can scale them from 200 square feet to 2,000, depending on your needs. So we're doing this as an eco-conscious development. So you're not building too much, you're not building too small, just what you need. And the customers will define their own needs for this particular community, but they will pay for that service. It's a community and housing as a service. So this gives people a chance to not only own a home, but also be an entrepreneur somehow, right? And pave their own way. As we know, people are already working from home. So this is a perfect model. With the advent of COVID, a lot of people have realized, you know what, we can work from home after all. This gives people that opportunity to be able to not only work from home, but also own a business right in their own backyard if they want to.
I would think it would be more of businesses that have a reason to be located in the USA, such as intellectual property or military defense, or but more of the low-level info tech, that can be done virtually online anywhere around the world. So
Right, this is a good model for that. It addresses the scalability, the affordability, and the housing models. Because right now we're looking at the housing units or housing, we call them occupancy, we call them units, modular units, because they're not really just for a house, they're universal, they're multi-purpose. So you could use them not only for your housing, but also for business, for retail, right? And so we're just calling them units, modular units that you can scale and do a build out to whatever you want, whatever configuration you like, right? So you're not buying a brick and mortar, and the units are actually lightweight in material. They're also very environmentally durable. They could withstand hurricanes and tornadoes. They're designed for that, and they have a lot of the security. You can't steal them. They're built out for hurricanes and things like that to withstand those kinds of environmental disasters. So that's why they're eco-conscious, because they're lightweight. And the manufacturer that we're talking to, they said that whenever you're ready, we can drop these units in and they can be ready in less than 4 hours. We connect them to the grid, to the system, the grid, it's up and running. That's probably an oversimplification. There's a lot more that goes into that, but I'm in discussion with the county for the zoning requirements and regulations, because we obviously have to follow the local community regulations. But the county out here in New Mexico is very excited about this initiative. That's why they approved us. The minute we presented this in July of last year and October, August, we presented this in August to the planning and zoning. It was a unanimous vote, they approved it. And then when we presented this idea to the board of commissions, it was a unanimous vote. The next phone call I got was from the Valencia County Renewables. They were interested. When are you breaking ground? I'm like, wait a minute, we're not going to do it tomorrow, but we're moving in that direction, one step at a time. So I continue to have the meetings and the relationship with the county and the government out here. That's why I said out here in New Mexico, it's about campesino relationship building. If you're new from another state, they're very standoffish out here at the beginning until you build that trust and that relationship, and you've been here for a while, and they see you and they see what you're doing. You have to earn their trust, quite honestly. But that's with any, especially in real estate, that's usually the case. You can't just drop yourself in here like I did, right? And then consult and expect people to be warm and fuzzy with you. They really weren't warm and fuzzy with me at the beginning. And that took a few years for me to develop that. So that's just my observation. Maybe somebody else has a different experience, but that's my experience.
well, this might work if it's the land use and zoning might be a little bit too difficult in California.
Well, this is just, yeah, it's difficult in California, but we would retrofit it to the region. So
Yeah.
wherever we end up, whether it's California, Las Vegas, Nevada, or Podanco, Timbuktu, right, remotely, we will tailor it to that. That's why I said, this is the playbook that we're going to start with, and then people can replicate, and there may be other investors who may be interested, who may be independent. My vision to this is where I started it, but my expectation as I grow in the future is to have other investors say, I'm interested in doing a similar thing in San Antonio, Texas. I don't know, right? Podanco, Iowa. Okay, good. Then let's talk, fees, and let's talk, you need to follow the local region rules and regulations. Because we can't obviously do a cookie cut. It's not a cookie cutter approach. It's possible to do a cookie cutter, but not because there's local regions that you're going to have to deal with and the regulations of that area. But then each area will have some variances, and I expect that. I expected that. We're starting it in New Mexico because New Mexico is a perfect location for the renewable energy and the labs that can give us the ability to test and partner with. But in other states, that may be different. It will have some variances location by location, especially when you go into different continents and globally. The intent that I had for this was because in New Mexico, we have remote locations that are like in the Pueblo locations out here. They're really very rural in topography of the environment. So doing this will bring some of the Pueblo land and give them a center, a community center that they can live and work. And a lot of the Pueblo lands out here are not even on the map. You couldn't plug in an address in the Pueblo area and expect the GPS to take you there. I mean, even where I live on the northwest side of town of Albuquerque, sometimes if I hit certain areas of the GPS doesn't know where to go. It gets confused because of the desert, because of the topography of the land. That's just the way it is out here. I mean, and I live in a pretty populated residential area, more like the suburbs. I'm actually right next to Rio Rancho, which is right next to Albuquerque. So what you have is Santa Fe, Rio Rancho, and then Albuquerque. And then you have all the Pueblo lands that are, remote, out in the desert. So that gives you an idea as to the layout of the land. Oh, you're back. Oh, you're on mute.
There we go.
There you go.
Yeah, it was an adventure. So, in the meantime, I turned the light off in here, I realized, and I still have my video on. So that was probably interesting.
Well, that's all right. So you
I'm still glad there was a
Yeah.
place for you to talk, though. That was good.
you just have a chance to-
I'm gonna
Right,
jump in and
exactly.
introduce my business just because I'm all about rolling along. So Sparks Flow is my company, and I help homes and businesses organize their world to make it so they get to do the things they want to do. You can call me for a free discovery call, and that'd be exciting. And I've been doing this Friday Flow since the beginning of COVID. And I should update get some people to give me some more recent stuff, but this is things I do, and that's exciting. And eventually this web page will change soon. See, this is the old logo, but one I created myself just to kind of have a space holder. And then I had, and this is my new logo, but that's the only place it shows up on here. That's interesting. Anyway, you'll also see that on my slides, I have the old logo still up here in the corner. But yep, the idea is that you get to go and do the thing you want to do, and I'll help it happen. Flow means being in a state of mind where everything it seems timeless, and you're really engaged in what you're doing. And if things are unorganized, you often have that hitched, and it stops things and all that crazy stuff. So I help you get out of that. So Gwen, you are also on here, but you don't have a website. You have a LinkedIn account, which is cool. So people can find you on LinkedIn as Gwen and USA. And tell us a little about what's going on with you, Gwen. Or tell me, since you probably already told Annie.
Well, I'm pivoting, looking for opportunities. I was like a on the ground brick and mortar community organizer, and trying to figure out, what role I want to do next in life. So I like to bring people together, connect people to resources. Okay, that's all.
That's great. Yeah, I remember you talking about fridge pantries or something like that. So neighborhood pantries. What did you call it?
Yeah, it's well, people call it different things. Street, no, sidewalk fridge. Just yeah, community pantry, whatever. Everybody calls it something different.
That's
Yeah.
cool. Well, and I think that's a neat thing. You're trying to figure out how to make a living while doing similar things still. So that's exciting. Well, today we're going to talk about, choosing that route or finding it. So which one is really the thing? Then I'll tell you a little bit. The people that are involved in me coming up with this topic is, again, a lady often mentions Joycelyn Campbell. She's a local brain researcher, as in that she researches a lot of stuff other people research about brain stuff, and she just enjoys talking about and learning about it, and she's kind of made a business out of it more by happenstance than by design, but she's good at it. So she's talked about how we often are trying to find something, right, and that's going to like make everything easy and smooth for us, and but she really pushes more for you actually just making a choice about what you want, because that's going to make a big difference in your amount of enjoying things, according to what she says, and I buy into it. I'm with that. So the systems is your brain, and you only can do so much with your brain, and one of the things that is happening is if your brain isn't finding problems, if your brain isn't running into problems, then it probably means you're not alive. So you got to choose what you do with it. And a lot of people are trying to find solutions that will somehow make everything easy for them from here on out, which is a goal for not living, but for something else. So if you're trying to just find stuff, she has a rather biased opinion, and I tend to agree with her about that. So that's the question, and that's kind of the answer I aim for, but it's up for discussion because that's what we do. So Annie, what are your thoughts about finding versus choosing? What kind of impact does that have on your life?
Well, I mean, I'm in the space of just innovating is for one thing. I like to do things rather differently or find solutions to an issue that I'm passionate about or something that I can, if money and time were no object, would I do this for free? My answer is yes, I would.
That's great.
Right. And
Yeah.
so, right. I mean, my ex-husband and I, we co-owned a company in Chicago for 10 years, buying and selling high-end furniture. And then from that, we did a ministry of providing beds for kids and for people are, coming to this country and have nothing but refugees, if you want to call them that, they're coming in here and have nothing other than the clothes on their back and a backpack. So we got plugged in with the church. So the ministry or the social aspect of that is helping people. So this is kind of why I'm doing, the social and environmental impact of my business is really key. So, where'd Adam go? Adam, where are you?
So are you so this is like an incubator, what you're doing, will you be like licensing or just
I haven't decided that far yet. Right now we were successful in our proposal. We submitted a proposal to National Science Foundation. They thought my project has merit, so they said, okay, you qualify for 1.5 million capital seed funding, non-dilutive. So at this point, we're gonna try and grow it organically is my plan. Whether or not I'm gonna franchise the concept, or whether or not, I'm gonna leave it a little bit more independent and give investors a chance to do their own community development in their own local region, that remains to be seen. But we're starting this so that we can come up with a playbook and the standards by which an eco-conscious community development will happen for the future today. So whatever we're doing today has to be for a better future. That's really what it is. And if somebody's not on board with that, then you don't join our organization. That's just the way it is. We have to change our ways and our ways of thinking. We've damaged this country and this world enough. So unless you're eco-conscious, and if you don't believe in that, then move on. Thank you, but no thanks. So,
Yeah. Is there a maker hackerspace in your metropolitan Albuquerque? And
what do you mean, hackerspace? What does that mean?
it's kind of like a incubator space
We've
where
got a lot of services out here, like Activate New Mexico. TJ Cook is the executive director. We've got New Mexico Angels. There's New Mexico SBDC. There's Arrowhead. There's New Mexico SBA. There's a lot of resources where you can go for incubator entrepreneur resources out here. There is. There's not a shortage of that, I can tell you that. So if you have a great idea, this is the place to test the waters. It really is. I mean, I pivoted my company in 2019, and during the COVID, I was actually able to write the proposal and submit it. So now we're looking at getting $1.5 million. That would not have been possible without the help of New Mexico SBDC. I have a business coach from New Mexico SBDC. I've applied for scientific resources from the Los Alamos National Lab. They have that here, and these are all free. And I was able to go through a 12-week training course through Arrowhead to help me, assist me with the proposal, so that they can ensure that my proposal will see the light of day. I think if I were in Chicago, that would not have been possible, to be honest with you, because it's too difficult to navigate a big city. But this city will allow you to navigate locally. But it's knowing where to go and knowing it's not what you know, it's who you know. Okay, so
Chicago, is that bureaucratic? Chicago, Illinois, with all the resource?
well, I love Chicago. I mean, I lived there for over 30 years. I came out here to semi-retire. And to me, semi-retirement means doing what I want to do when I want to do it. So this is what I'm doing. So I became an entrepreneur in the real estate space. And then I did something different than what everybody else was doing. Right? To Adam's discussion, do you find or do you choose your own way? I chose my own way. That's all. And so far, it's moving real good. Even my business advisor said, the minute you get that 1.5 million, I will present you to the governor as one of our key clients that was successful in doing what you're doing. In less than 2 years, Annie, you've achieved a hell of a lot than most people I know who tries to go through this stuff. Say that my idea didn't change, it did change. And it evolved and it pivoted. That's for any business model, that's necessary. Especially when you start out, you may start out with one idea and then it may evolve and then you may end up someplace else. And that's the pleasant surprise that I'm getting out of this is, I mean, I started this business or this idea as repurposing shipping containers for homes. And then it evolved into the community that you're seeing now and the rendering of that community as an eco-conscious community using modular units for the live, work, play environment. So it evolved and morphed into what it is. So that's not necessarily a bad thing. So I hope that answers some of your questions. I mean, I know I rattled off a lot of resources out here in New Mexico that I've gone after. And I'm not done. I mean, at this point, I'm looking at USDA, the Department of Agriculture. They've got all kinds of programs that I can go after. There's also Mr. COG, which is community something organizational development, mid-region something, community organizations that I can go after for and partner with for some of the projects that they're doing in the area, in the state, in the county. I mean, it takes a lot. It takes a lot of effort to be an entrepreneur. right? And to do something innovative. I mean, if I were to just follow the same old, then all I need to do is come up with some money and invest in a 100 unit apartment building. But that's just finding a deal. I wanted to do something different and I wanted to do something that matters. This is it. The eco-conscious community is what came out of that idea. I mean, I know there's a small business owner out here. She has, it's called Sprouting Kitchen. And she does organic, what do you call it? Catering of food. So she works with local farmers to do farm to table menu and dishes. So, yeah, and she's out here. So that's another entrepreneur I know of. So there's quite a few. I mean, there's opportunities. You know, you can make your own way, or you can partner up with somebody who's doing an opportunity. There's no shortage of opportunities for sure and ideas. It's just a matter of follow through. You know what I'm saying? And testing an idea and doing it end to end. So if you're planning on moving out of here from Arizona and you're looking for opportunities, hone in, and you might want to get here first and then see what's out here before you decide to narrow your focus, because you're casting a wide net, which is okay too. That's okay too. So cast a wide net and then see what happens. Then start to narrow it down. Unless you already know. If you know, you know, that's great. You're off to a good start. A lot of people don't know, or a lot of people start at one point and end up at another, and another. It's a journey. This is a journey. It's not a hard and fast rule.
How's the financing for modular housing?
Well, I have a financing company. When we commercialize, I already have if you've read my website, we already have a foundation that's partnered with us who will do the consumer financing end of it individually. And we will tailor to the customer, to the end consumer. And part of those profits go to a non-for-profit foundation, which is what I like about it, because he's not just any bank. He's going to take some of the profits and then put it in a foundation to build scalable homes and homes in remote areas, because they do some build outs as well in other countries and other locations. So the foundation is a non-for-profit. So that's what I like about it. I'm helping another company, and then also a cause associated with that, a good cause. So from a financing perspective, there's probably a lot more local banks out here, right? Because it's New Mexico, we've got Bank of Albuquerque, which may not be in every state. We've got certain, then you've got the traditional banks like Bank of America is out here, US Bank is out here. We do not have a Chase Bank out here. That's the one bank that we do not have. So yeah, those are some local banking is out here. So it's a lot more lenient. There's a lot more leniency if you've got a local credit union or a local bank. Like we've got the Sandia Credit Union for military. They're more focused on military veterans, that kind of stuff. So yeah.
So, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. Oh,
this is little
kiddo.
Yeah. Hey there. So I figure if I'm out here, I can she can be nearby, and
Right.
then I don't have to
That's
continue to leave. Oh, she is ready for a nap.
fine. Already?
Well, yeah, she has one in the morning, sometime, and she's making all the signs that now would be a good time. But we're about to drive somewhere, so that's what we want when we want her to sleep, instead of just having her sleep for a few minutes here and then jumping in the car and waking her up. So anyway,
Okay.
that's a good sign.
Good sign. Yes.
Good sign. Yeah. And so you guys were talking about choosing a moment ago of whether to move or not, Gwen. And one of the things about making a choice, I was realizing, so when we're making a choice, there's a lot of ways we could make the choice, right? We could choose based on what other people do. We could make a choice based on, you know, what we've done in the past. Or what I would encourage, and this is my big thing, it'd be kind of course, those other things can inform this, but what I want to do, or what I want to experience, really.
Oh, accomplish. Which one accomplish?
Yeah, so that might be, and that comes into a key thing of like, what is it you're after? So Annie
Mhm.
is already showing that she's big into accomplishment, innovation, doing something, right? That's a big thing. For me, connecting with people, that's a big thing. So if it's going to help me connect better with folks, I'm more likely to do that thing if I'm paying attention. But often what I'll do is I'll do one of these other ones, which is just do what other people do. You know, I'm like, well, everyone else is doing it, so I'll do that. Or I'll do, oh, I've done this in the past, so I'll just do that. My brain really likes those options because the 95% of your brain that's unconscious, all those actions and everything, and it feeds the conscious part of your brain, ideas and things, and often our conscious part of the brain just accepts the things that come from your unconscious part of your brain. It will just say, oh yeah, that's good, I'll do that. And so this is really the key here, of getting something you want, is deciding what it is you want to experience and focusing on that. So last week we talked about a brain that focuses on the past, the present, or the future. And each of those brains has a particular disadvantage and a particular advantage. The advantage of one that is constantly thinking about what you want to do next is more accustomed to tricking your unconscious into doing something that takes more energy. It's better at tricking you into doing something new that you may or may not really want to experience. You just might think at the time. Whereas the other parts, the other brains that often think of the past, or the brains that often think of the future, or the present, they have a harder time doing all that extra extra work to think, okay, I'm going to do something different. And you, Gwen, are really in a spot where you're thinking about what you're going to do next, which is could be something you're doing every day. Like, is this still where I want to go? Is this still where I want to go? But you've really come on to a point here, and this is really pivotal stuff for you, is defining for yourself the experience you want to have. So what you've talked about this a little bit, and I've asked you before, but let's do it again. So for your desired outcome, or what's your big quest, first of all? And when I say quest, I'm talking about like you have been spending your life doing, trying to answer some question. Your brain has somehow been tickled to think about something in particular, and continue to seek that answer out. And it will never reach it. It'll never get the full answer to whatever this thing is. But if you look back in your past, you'll see that there's a number of stuff that you've been doing. Now, this isn't new agey. Some people think it is, and I'm sure new agey people can use it easy cheesy. But I'm using it because it's part of the way our brain is set up, from what I've been told. And that we've kind of started gearing towards answering a certain question. And for me, that is, I want to figure out how I can collaborate people to explore the mystery that we live in. All right. So that's like a quest that I know I'm after, and I'll never know the full extent of it, but that's what I keep doing. So do you have an idea of kind of what your quest might be?
Community collaboration.
Okay.
Co-creation.
Yeah.
Sustainable longevity.
Yeah.
That's plenty enough.
Yeah. So those are some things. And so you kind of figure out what the question you're asking, like, how can I work with the community to create sustainability and stuff? And maybe that's what you've been after since you're a wee child, and you're just now realizing it, or you've known it for a while. But so to do those things, you're going to try something. And so everything you're doing is an experiment. And the experiment is telling, am I getting to the experience of success that I'm imagining, right? The experience of success. And sometimes that'll change. What's your image of a success the experience you expect to have when you actually reach that success will change as well. Especially after you get to a certain point. Like, so you're here, right? This is what your experience is now. This is your status quo, all the things that sort of make up your day to day now. And then this is where you want to be, like something over here. And so dopamine is feeding into your brain and saying, I want to get over here, which is great because then you're alive and you actually want to do something. You're going to face struggles along the way, but the other thing is you're going to try some stuff. And the question is whether some of that stuff is going to be stuff other people do simply, or it's stuff that you've done in the past simply, right? You're never going to do anything entirely novel. That's not the point. The point is that you're trying to get to something that you really want to do, whether or not it's novel. So in your situation, your experiment is you're thinking about moving somewhere else, right? That's one of the experiments you're trying
Yes.
or considering. And so there's different ways you can try out little bits of that idea along the way. And like Annie kind of mentioned, different details and objectives. I've got this little one over my shoulder. You can think of like little ideas or objectives that would do that. And then if you can see that sort of fruitioning and saying, okay, this is possible, and you can feel yourself getting excited about it, like that's actually something that's going to make you feel successful. And like you're going for what your big quest is and you're finding out more about that, then that's going to help you make that choice more. Okay. It's not something you really find. I mean, you're finding some things, but it's because you're choosing to look for them. You're seeking out and making choices and deciding what you can manipulate. That was really vague, but I mean, well, that was really abstract. So that was a lot of little abstract things. So how close? One of the things that helps is to set up metrics for yourself to make choices along this experiment. So when do you think you might make this move?
I would need to do a physical road trip as a local, not as a tourist. That's always different when you're a tourist eyes.
Yeah.
And and also stay for a longer time to really experience local natives viewpoint.
That's really cool. So do you have a plan of like how you might make that happen? I'm asking that question. I'm going to stop a moment because I really want to confirm that you're doing a really cool thing. You're figuring out an experiment you can do to see if this is the experience that you want. And that's totally along the lines of the idea. You'll never know for sure. You may come and it'll be entirely different than you expected it to be after that first experience. But you can only experiment so much. You can only know so much. So I really commend you on trying to figure that out. So you have a list of things that you want to figure out in order to try that out. So this is probably a good time then, because we're almost at the moment where we're going to do 10-second ask. So what is something that we can do for you on? Oh my goodness, I've got my little helper helping me type. What's something we could do that would only take about 10 seconds for us to help you out on your quest? So Annie, do you have anything? 10 seconds.
What I need is not going to take 10 seconds. It's too difficult.
Break it down. Break it down into one little thing that gets us a little closer to helping you out.
I'm trying to figure that out. I don't have anything that comes to mind at the moment.
Okay,
Finding a good real estate deal. That's one. I don't know that that's going to take 10 seconds. Most of the things I work on, Adam, are pretty big.
Right, but they're broken into small parts. So you want us to mention any real estate deals that we might? So if we were to look for real estate deals, what are places? Something
that's off market. Because I don't deal with that. The MLS is retail price. I'm looking for a good deal.
Yeah. So you're wondering if we've heard of anything, right?
Somebody
Yep.
who may be thinking about selling their property or a property that's vacant that I can maybe leverage for short-term rental
So
and make an
maybe
income out of it.
here's something easy that some people could do in 10 seconds. You could say, okay. So to break that down into something in 10 seconds, especially because this is not something we can just Google search, right? If that were the case, we'd probably be looking for
Nope.
something else. It would be something more. Okay. The excitement around me. Okay, so you're going to come up with a question that we could ask someone who we think might be in the business of trying to sell real estate or their own real estate, right?
Or
And
maybe a
what kind of,
family member or a friend of yours who's doing a for sale by owner,
yeah,
right? And don't want to go through the listing, MLS listing. I want to talk to them before they do. And I, so keep me in mind for that. And as well as,
I like it.
any help on my eco-conscious community development is
That's great.
certainly another possibility.
So ask a
I know
friend.
that's pretty broad, but
No, it's so, well, we can always narrow down broad things. So the I'm gonna have to go here real quick. But so what you're asking is for 10-second thing is ask anyone we know, and if they are into selling some real estate. Is that what you're asking?
their own, right? Something that they want to
Their own.
unload, right? It has
Yeah.
to be kind of the right situation.
Yeah.
So maybe they've got a property remotely from another state and they want to get rid of it. I may
Yeah.
be able to flip it for them because I'm doing some wholesaling and some
Yeah.
flipping. I would
And
prefer that it's here in New Mexico.
And then we can
But-
tell them about this great gal that can sort of talk to him about that process and how she may be a great part
I
of that.
may be able to help.
Yeah, that's great.
Right.
And now, Gwen, before my poor child breaks down, what's something we could do for you in 10 seconds?
I'm gonna find maybe a host on Couchsurfing
Yeah,
that maybe I can stay with, and also I can get a local native perspective.
yeah. Cool. And so
Uh,
if you want to get,
and
go ahead.
Can I say something?
Yeah, go.
And Gwen, I do rent some rooms out of my house for short-term traveling professionals. So if you're interested, let me know.
There we go.
Okay.
And you have her contact information.
Okay.
Thank you. And you guys already did your 10-second things because me hearing what people are looking for to do, that helps me out knowing how to help people out. So I'll go ahead and scroll through the rest of my come on, what's going on? All right, there. All right, so the last few slides here to wrap things up. Next week, I just did that. A/B testing is August 13th, so that's going to be kind of an interesting thing. I'm really curious about. I've heard a few ways to use it in running your business and stuff, and that's a way to make choices. Is you start doing some tests to see, okay, this or this, which is getting me to where I want to go. But we'll talk about that more. So keep the sparks flowing, and thanks for joining me.
Okay, bye.
Bye, Gwen. Bye, Annie.